Welcome back, friends. By this time, you know that bear is called Ursa in Latin, and hence the name Ursa Medica. So, this is Dr. Rahul Kamath at Ursa Medica, and today we are going to be discussing a case study of a child with autism. But before we dive into this, there is a standard disclaimer which I have, basically, which says that I am a medical doctor with a deep interest in medical astrology, and I am seeking to connect modern medicine with medical astrology, with Jyotish, and concepts of Ayurveda. Okay, so with this brief background, let us go into this topic today because we have a lot to discuss. Um, Autism is quite well known in our society, so we know what autism is in a sense that we have seen movies like Tare Zameen Par. We know that uh, this is a serious social issue. But let us look at this case that we have. This was a child. Uh, we can see the date of birth here, 3rd of December 2012. The time of birth, the place of birth is the child born in California to Indian parents. Now, those of you who wish to analyze this chart with me, and those of you who have exposure to astrology or Jyotish, I would really, exhort you to independently chart this in your software so that as we study or as I am giving this presentation, you could follow with me. Or alternatively, you could certainly go with my flow because I am going to be showing you all the kundalis and all the charts. Now, first let's look at the presenting symptoms and signs. This was a child, there was a speech delay and the child was not responding to its name. So at the age of around 2 and 2.5 years or so, basically autism was diagnosed, and uh, you know uh, there was basically developmental delay. Then they found that at 3 years there was some development of speech, but not really adequate. The family shifted to India at the age of 3 years roughly. Since then, the child has been in some special schools and there has been no major improvement in his condition. Okay, so this is the history. Now, before we actually get into the chart and per se, first let us see what we are going to be looking for, because it's important to really understand the karakas or the significators of autism, because uh, unless we really know what to look for, we'll find that we have lost our way and we will not be able to really do a pinpointed discussion. Now, autism basically is a serious speech delay and developmental delay, as I already said. From the medical perspective, there is a speech area in the brain. There is something called as Broca's area in the brain, which is affected in terms of the medical part of it. Now, in terms of Jyotish, when we look at speech, traditionally we will look at Mercury, because Mercury is quicksilver, it is the messenger of the gods, it is the communicator essentially. Uh, we will also look at the moon because moon will indicate the nervous system, the functioning, the brain per se. So we have to certainly look at the Mercury and the moon. Now, in autism, there is certainly an aspect of developmental delay. So there is an aspect of the hypothalamic axis being affected, or the growth hormone neuroendocrine axis or the hormonal axis being affected. So that's a higher level of affection. So this is at the level of the pineal gland or the pituitary gland. So we have to look at, so that's the medical part of it. If we go deeper, we'll perhaps find that there is some brain development in the hypothalamus or the hypothalamic area which is affected. But from the Jyotish point of view, the karakas to look for, we have to look for Neptune, because Neptune represents the pineal gland, Uranus represents the pituitary, the higher octaves, even Pluto. Uh, Plus, we have to certainly look at the past life karma, because anybody born with such a thing would have serious past life karmic issues. The fifth house certainly needs closer look, and the two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, um, are very likely to be affected, and we will see how. Okay, so these are the karakas of autism that we will be looking for today in our analysis. Now, let's look at this slide in front of you. Now, I am basically starting the analysis of the Janma Kundali. I have the D1 slide here as well as the D9, the Navamsh Kundali adjoining it. Below you will see the degrees of the planets on the left side of your screen, and on the right side below are the Shadbalas. And I'll try to correlate. Now, but first let's start doing a traditional analysis of the Kundali here. Okay, so it is customary to immediately look at the condition of the moon, the sun, and the ascendant. So this is a Cancer ascendant chart in D1, and you notice that moon is in Ashlesha in the Lagna. So moon is in a watery sign in Cancer in Ashlesha, being a Mercury nakshatra. Uh, the sun here. Now sun is in Jeshta, which is in the fifth house. Okay, and it is with Rahu. So there is some serious affliction to the fifth house here. We will dive deeper into this a little later. Also notice, or rather, if you see on the side of the fifth house on the left side, there is a outer kind of a line, and you see the number 17 there. That's the Ashtakvarga score. So a score of 17, which is extremely low, if you for Ashtakvarga. So that is the Samudaya Ashtakvarga score. So the fifth house is definitely affected in some way, and we will see that later. Now, for the Karka ascendant, the 11th lord, here the Taurus lord is Venus. Venus is the Badhak planet. Now you notice that Venus is in Vishakha, which is a Jupiterian nakshatra. Now the lord of the sixth house. So we have to study the sixth, eighth, and the 12th houses specifically for disease. And now if you look at the sixth house, the lord is, it's Sagittarius. The lord is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Rohini nakshatra in the 11th house. The 11th house is the bhavam of the sixth house. So certainly Jupiter is connected in some way with what is wrong with this Jatak. Rohini nakshatra, again the lord is moon. Moon is in Mercury. So you see the Mercury and the sun and the moon connected to Mercury. You see the Bhadakesh Venus in a Jupiter's nakshatra. Now Mercury incidentally is also the lord of the 12th house. Okay, and the lord of the third house. The 12th house is the Vyayasthana, or the decline house. Now, and the third house is the Prati Ashtama Sthana from the Bhavat Bhavam perspective. So the third house also is malefic. So Mercury is basically lord of the malefic houses, and you see that the sun and the moon both are in the Mercury nakshatra. Now, let's also look at the 8th house here. 8th house here is Kumbha, which is Saturn, and Saturn is in Swati nakshatra. Saturn is exalted incidentally in the 4th house in Libra in Swati nakshatra, which is the Rahu nakshatra. Rahu again is placed in Vishakha in nakshatra in the 5th house in Scorpio. So we again see the Jupiterian connection from Rahu. Rahu's sun is directly opposite Jupiter and Ketu. Jupiter is affected by Ketu. Okay. And Ketu is in Sun's nakshatra. Sun is in Mercury's nakshatra. So you see the entire kind of a connectivity here. Let's look at the Marak Sthanas. The Marak Sthanas are the 2nd and the 7th house. The second lord is Sun, which we've already seen. So Sun is a Marakesh here, an important Marakesh in fact. And the Saptamesh, which is the second Marakesh, and the Ashtamesh is Saturn, which we have already seen. So let's look at this now. Now let's look at the D9 Kundali here. Okay, now if you see the Navamaush Kundali here, you will find here that the sun and the moon are together in the 2nd house. So basically, if you see the Navamaush Kundali, the ascendant here is Scorpio. So 8, 12 and 4. So it's a watery ascendant, and you have moon and sun together, kind of combust, or you can call it Amavasya Yoga in the 2nd house. Saturn is again afflicted with Ketu In the third house, Saturn, as I said earlier, was lord of the eighth house in the D1 Kundali, and Saptamesh also in the D1 Kundali. Now, Mercury and Jupiter, Jupiter being the Roga Karak planet in a sense, sixth lord, and Mercury being the Vyayesh and as well as the Pratyashtamesh, both are in Yuti in the Mithun or the Gemini Navamaush, again in the eighth house. So we see these kind of combinations from the D9 chart. Okay, so we are now, I'll be going over these salient findings once again. I have discussed now, but I'll kind of go over this with the slide. So as I said here, moon and sun connection, you can read now as the bullets come. Moon and sun are connected to Mercury. Already mentioned as this. The sixth lord Jupiter is in the Badhak Sthana or in the 11th house. You know, uh, the 12th lord Mercury is again connected to Jupiter through Vishaka. You see the Vishaka connection repeatedly happening. The Venus is in Vishaka again. Badhakesh is Venus connected with Jupiter through Vishaka Nakshatra. Saturn is, as I said, Saturn is in Swati, Rahu is in Jupiter, again Vishaka. Now Jupiter in terms of the Charakarakas of Gemini, Jupiter is the Nyatikarak. So Jupiter is the disease causer. It is also the Shashtesh from the traditional Parashari analysis. So that's a kind of a confirmation that Jupiter here is important and really responsible for causing this condition. And as I said earlier, in the Karakas, Jupiter will have to be affected because it's a major benefit. You know, it's the Jiva. Now, if you see the Shadbala chart below, you see that Moon is very strong, Mercury is very strong, and Saturn are very strong Shadbala. 1.4 is Moon, 1.35 is Mercury, 1.63 is Saturn. But these strength of the planets are actually adverse for this native. They are damaging the health of the native. You know, as we already have seen so far, and we will see further. Okay, so these are few of the findings here from the D1 Kundali. Okay, so with this, now if you see the D9, the 64th Navamaush, which is the lord of the fourth house from the moon. The fourth house from the moon in the D9 chart is Pisces, in the fifth house of the Navamaush Kundali. And the lord of Pisces again is Jupiter, which is in the eighth house of the Navamaush Kundali with Mercury. Okay, so this is extremely suggestive of the malefic and the disease producing nature of Jupiter for this native. Now, incidentally, as I said here, we need to look at carefully at the higher octaves. You know, we need to look at Neptune carefully because the pineal gland and the pineal pituitary axis would have some affectation. Now, if you notice here, Neptune is in the eighth house in the D1 Kundali, okay, and in the D9 Neptune is in Scorpio in the Lagna and it is in Gandanta position. So uh, the longitudinal nakshatras inside the D9 are also given there. So inside of the ascendant, Neptune is towards the extreme end of um, towards the extreme end of Scorpio, close to the Gandanta point with Mool Nakshatra. So Neptune here is certainly some kind of a higher octave culprit or at least an accomplice of sorts. And the most important thing here, which kind of hammers down the point or hammers down the diagnosis in a sense, is that the Atmakaraka of this native, the Chara Atmakaraka is Mercury. What does that mean? It means that there is this, the soul wants to communicate in a sense. The soul urge, the Atmakaraka urge is mercurial in nature. It is communicative, it is trying to communicate, and there is a huge disaster at that point of time where the native cannot communicate because of various afflictions, certainly caused because of the planetary positions at birth, uh, rather unfortunate planetary positions at birth. So we know, for example, from this, the case of autism was famously depicted in Bollywood in the movie Tare Zameen Par, and we know how much the autistic child struggles to communicate, and that's the fundamental spiritual issue for these children. Okay, so the Chara Atmakaraka is Mercury, right? So with this now, uh, let us now go deeper. Look at the let us try to understand the pathology of this condition. Let us dig deeper, for which we need to go to the D3 or the Dreshkan Kundali. Okay, so I'm going to the next slide. Now here you see on top the D1 of the Lagna chart, as we have already seen earlier. There is a D9 below left, and on the right is the Dreshkan or the D3 Kundali. Now it says happiness siblings, but it's also very important from medical astrological perspective here. Okay, so a quick glance will tell us a lot of things here. Again, in the Dreshkan Kundali, the longitudinal nakshatra degrees are given. Okay, so if you notice here, Moon is in extreme Gandanta position, 29 degrees 20 minutes in Jeshta in uh, Scorpio in the Lagna of Dreshkan. Okay, so Moon is in Cancer in the birth chart. It is in the Scorpio, in the second Dreshkan, that is the Scorpio. Here in the Lagna. So that's seriously affected. Again, Sun is in the fifth house in Dreshkan again, and Sun is in Pisces towards the end. It is Revati, 25 degrees 13. So almost close to Gandanta. Okay, about 5 degrees away from Gandanta point. So Sun is again somewhat affected. Now, if you notice here, the Jupiter is in the 11th house in Virgo in Dreshkan in Hasta Nakshatra. Now, Hasta Nakshatra dispositor is Moon. A Nakshatra, Lord of Hasta Nakshatra is Moon, and Moon is in Gandanta. So, we see this kind of connection. Now, Mercury again, you see Mercury is in 8th house with Venus. So, the Badhakesh is in, of the D1 is in 8th house with the Vyayesh and the Trutiyesh. Okay, so they are together here. Mercury also being the, as I said, the Atma Karaka, and it is in Punarvasu Nakshatra in the Dreshkan, which is again a Jupiterian Nakshatra. So Jupiter connection with um, uh, Mercury is seen, and if you notice in the D9 chart, as we already seen, Jupiter is conjunct Mercury in the Gemini Navamaush in the 8th house in the D9 chart. So Jupiter Mercury are kind of collaborators in this disease, supported by the Badhakesh here, as we see it in the D3 chart. Now Saturn, if you see the Dreshkan Kundali, the Saturn is in 4th house in Shatabhishak Nakshatra, which is a Rahu Nakshatra again. So, and Rahu is basically in Saturn's Nakshatra. So there is a Nakshatra exchange. There is Nakshatra Parivartan Yoga in the D3 chart, okay, between Rahu and Saturn. So again, that doesn't augur well. If you try to correlate it with the D1 chart, you realize that Saturn is Ashtamesh, and the Marrakesh is Ashtamesh, and the Marrakesh opposite that is Sun, which is infused with Rahu. So again, there is a connectivity there, and again, Saturn is in Rahu's Nakshatra, even in the D1 chart, right, which is a Rahu's Nakshatra again. So, uh, so with this, basically, we see that the D3 is affected. Now, the 22nd Dreshkan from the D3 is again the Ashtam Rashi, which is Mithun, and therefore the 22nd Dreshkan Lord is Mercury again. Okay, so these are few of the findings. We will again go over these like a revision. So Moon is in Gandanta in Lagna. Okay, as I already said here. Sun is close to Gandanta in Revati. So we are kind of going over the same point which I have discussed. 22nd Dreshkan is Gemini, Mercury. The Jupiter is the Nakshatra depositor Moon. Now the localization. So typically Dreshkan is used for localization of lesion, localization of the disease many times. So supposing it was a case of say stomach cancer, most likely we will be able to localize the cancer to the stomach using the D3 chart. But here the localization is really not possible. And why is that? Because uh, we are looking at Mercury and Moon. We are looking at a, a brain or a kind of a invisible uh, mental, developmental, neurological disorder, because the effect of Mercury and Moon is everywhere. Moon is the mind, Mercury is the nerve impulses or the neurological system concerned with the nervous system and the brain development. Uh, now, additional point is there is a direct aspect of Saturn on the Lagna and the Moon. Okay, so which I did not mention earlier. So there is a tenth aspect of Saturn on the Moon, which also is not exactly quite good. We already discussed Mercury with Venus. And in the Sarpa Dreshkan, now typically 4, 8, 12 signs in the D3 Kundali are called, these are typically, they constitute the Sarpa Dreshkan configurations. So we find that Sun, Moon and Rahu are in the Sarpa Dreshkan. Okay, so again, extremely bad in terms of disease. The Dagda Rashi is again Leo. So that's the Marrakesh, uh, the lord of which is Sun, which is the Marrakesh. Now it's very important here. We need to just look at some of the extra Saturnine planets here. Okay, so you notice that Neptune is again with in the Rahu's nakshatra here. Pluto is in D3. Pluto is in the sixth house in D3 in Ashlesha. Sorry, in Ashwini, which is a Ketu nakshatra. Okay, so that wouldn't augur well in general. We also notice that the Pluto is in the sixth house even in the D1 chart. Okay, in Sagittarius. Now both Sagittarius, that is the 6000 D1, and Aries, which is the 6000 D3, are fiery signs. Pluto certainly can't do much good there. In fact, it could perhaps be damaging. Okay, so and the final point here is that I looked at the Mrityu Bhag position. So you are aware that if there is a Graha at the Mrityu Bhag, it will it will inflict enormous distress on the native, if not death. So here you find that Sun is within 1 degree 24 minutes of its Mrityubhag position in Scorpio. Okay, so this is from the D1 chart. Okay, so therefore Sun is really affected, and Sun is the Naisargik Atmakaraka. Sun is the soul of the chart. So typically when we look at the Sun, Moon and the Ascendant, we refer to these as the Holy Trinity of the native. The Sun is the soul or the spirit, the Moon is the mind, and the Ascendant or the first house is the body. So you find that there is a affectation here of the Sun, and certainly so both the Atmakarakas, the Naisargik Atmakaraka Sun as well as the Chara Atmakaraka Mercury, are adversely affected in this chart or in this native. Now, uh, we have to look at the past life indications also, because a planetary or a graha disaster of this type, a graha combination which really creates this debilitating and rather almost irreversible type of a illness from birth almost, uh, would have to have karmic origins, which certainly means the past life, and therefore I decided to look at the D12 chart, which is the Dwadashansh, so the parental kind of what has come from the parents. So let's look at that. Let's look at the D5, which is the Panchamaush. This is not a standard Varga chart, but it is still used to delineate, look at the fifth house effects in detail. Okay, and also let's look at the D30, which is the Trivshansh for misfortunes, and D60 is customary. It's generally all areas, you know. So let's proceed. Now, if you look at the D12 chart, uh, there are many things to look at, but the immediate thing which strikes is that the Lagnesh Jupiter, you know, is in the Vyayasthana, the 12th house, and it is in Gandanta position there. Towards the end of Scorpio in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, along with Rahu. So this is like a kind of a cursed position. You have the Rahu Ketu axis passing through Jupiter here, and again opposite that in the sixth house is Pluto and Ketu naturally. So uh, this and Mercury is afflicted again with um, Gulika. So you see Mercury here in the sixth in the 10th house, which is afflicted with Gulika. But the more important thing here is this Jupiterian thing which we just spoke about. This is like this is the curse of the Guru. This is a Guru who has actually who is adverse for this. So something to do with the Guru. Maybe there was some kind of an insult to the Guru from the parents or from ancestors or something like that. So maybe we can correlate this in this manner in terms of the karmic origin of this. Now, if you look at the D5 chart, the D5 Lagna would be the fifth house of the D1 magnified. Okay, so um, if you remember the fifth house, that was Scorpio, and we already had the Sun there and the Rahu there in the D1 Kundali. Now the fifth house here again becomes a watery. It is Pisces, and you have the Guru there sitting there. Uh, so so that the aspect of the Guru you can see there, but then more importantly, Moon and Sun are combust in H11, okay, which is really not a very good sign in terms of the and we are going to look at the Moon and Sun in detail later, and we'll find that the malady really goes very deep. Again, you have Mercury in the eighth house here, which is sort of which, if you notice, has a Shadashtak or a quincunx kind of a aspect with Jupiter in the Lagna. Okay, so that's not good. H5 Lord is Moon, which is again affected with the Sun. So that was about the D5 Kundali. Now let's look at the D30, the Trivshaus. Now here again you find Sun Moon, Jupiter Sun Moon in Lagna. This can't do any good to the native. This is like a whole kind of a toxic curry in the Lagna, lorded over by Jupiter, which is again in a very angry mood of sorts, karmically speaking. Okay, so and again you see here that Mercury is in the eighth house. So you see repeatedly the Jupiter Mercury afflictation again and again. Again, Jupiter Mercury will be quincunx here. Rahu Ketu is in the third house. Rahu Ketu axis, Rahu Ketu together in the third house again. Not so good, I guess. The D60 discussion here very quick. We find that Sun and Saturn are in Lagna. So uh, the father and the son who don't get along with each other, struggling together in the Lagna, uh, and Mercury again in H8. So Mercury in H8 or Mercury seriously afflicted is a common theme here. Remember Mercury again, that Mercury is the Chara Atmakaraka and a very important uh, significator of this native. Okay, so with this past life analysis, now I want to have a little advanced discussion here, and basically, uh, we will, I will not be spending a lot of time on this, but still I will kind of go over some of the thing required. Now, typically, if you want to go a little deeper, uh, and here is where basically Jyotish connects with Ayurveda, which is the other Vedanga. Now, we all know that uh, the Rashis are, the Rashis, when you go from first to the 12th Rashi, they always Charasthira Dviswabhav, Charasthira Dviswabhav, or alternatively we can call them cardinal fixed mutable. So that kind of a thing is happening. We also have the elements. Okay, we have the five elements, the Pancha Mahabhutas. So you have Rashis which are earthy, fiery, earthy, watery, airy. So that kind of analysis. So there is another analysis which is called the Dhatu Mula and Jiva analysis. So the Charasthira Dviswabhav also corresponds to Dhatu Mula and Jiva Rashi. Okay, so let me explain to you what these mean and what these mean at a mundane level and what they mean at an individual level of a person's health. Okay, so Dhatu means in Sanskrit means minerals. Mula means plant kingdom, and Jiva is the animal kingdom. So there are planets which are more concerned with let's say dhatu. So for example, Saturn with Mula, for example, Sun with Jiva, for example, Jupiter. So that's one way of looking at the rashis. So for example, if it is Aries, you know, it would be a dhatu rashi. It's also a chara rashi, but it's a dhatu rashi, for example. Now, but the dhatu mula jiva thing is not only restricted to the rashi, it is also, this also resonates at the level of the nakshatra. So we have 27 nakshatras. So in groups of three. So there are 9 sets of 3 nakshatras. Each group of 3 nakshatras starting from again Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika is again Charasthira, Dviswabhav or Dhatu Mula Jiva. Okay. And at the nakshatra level, this Dhatu Mula Jiva can be analyzed in the context of Dreshkan. So now if you look at Dreshkan, each Dreshkan is 1/3 of a Rashi, right? So it is 10 degrees, which means 3 nakshatras are there in the Dreshkan, correct? Now, which means in each Dreshkan you have Dhatu Mula Jiva. So if inside the Dreshkan a graha is towards the first 1/3 of the Dreshkan, it will be in the Dhatu Nakshatra, middle 1/3 will be Mula Nakshatra, third 1/3 will be the Jiva Nakshatra. Okay, so this is something to understand. Now at the level of the body, so when we look at the Dreshkan, we look at the level of the body. So now the superstructure of Dreshkan. So the larger classification of Dreshkans can be Karma Bhoga and Nasha Dreshkan. So let's look at it. Let's say for example, there is a planet, say Sun, which is in uh, 5 degrees of Aries. So it is in the Aries Dreshkan. It is in the first 1/3. If this same, so this is what is called as the Karma Dreshkan. So Aries here is the Karma Dreshkan. Now let's say if the Sun was at 15 degrees in Aries in the D1 chart, it would be the Leo or the Sinha Dreshkan. Okay, which is then the Bhoga Dreshkan. The second Dreshkan is called the Bhoga Dreshkan. And the third Dreshkan, let's say if Sun was at 23 degrees Aries, it would be in the third Dreshkan of Aries, which is Sagittarius. And the third Dreshkan is called the Nasha Dreshkan. So Karma Bhoga Nasha, the classification of Dreshkan has certain significance on health. Okay, and inside that, the nakshatra in which the planet is placed, whether it is Dhatu Mula Jiva Nakshatra, as I have already explained to you. Now, at the level of the body, Dhatu means tissues. So now I'm trying to correlate with Ayurveda. Um, the Pancha Mahabhutas basically are, they create the dhatus, and the dhatu creates the tissue. Okay, so in the context of the individual body, dhatus are the tissues. So there are these 7 dhatus in Ayurveda. We will, you know, uh, which, you know, we will not go into in detail, but basically let's say the body is made up of tissues like bone, blood, you know, etc. These are dhatus. Now, Mula in the context of the body means infections or inflammations, because bacteria are plants, you know, so bacterial infection will be basically the plant kingdom. And the Jiva Rashi, Jiva at the level of the body would mean um, the suffering that the Jiva is going through. So that's how I interpret the Dhatu Mula Jiva at the level of the nakshatras. Now, if so, I don't really expect you, if you have no background in this, it will be perhaps a little difficult to follow this. Okay, but I have done a detailed analysis of the main planets in this case. So we find that Sun is in the Bhoga Dreshkan. So if you analyze as per the knowledge given above, Sun is in the Bhoga Dreshkan in Pisces, which is the watery sign, and it is in the Sagittarius Navamaush, which is a fiery sign. So you have the watery fiery mixing together, which is not a good idea. Again in Jiva. So Sun is creating a lot of suffering at the level of Jiva, and it is deeply combust or whatever you call it. Moon again is in Bhoga Dreshkan, very similar, again watery sign. In this case it is in Scorpio, but again Bhoga Dreshkan, and again the Navamaush is Dhanu or Sagittarius, which is a fiery Navamaush, again in the Jiva Nakshatra. So uh, this is again, Moon is also in trouble, creating a lot of suffering. So Sun and Moon are actually creating a lot of suffering at the level of the soul, and also Sun is the Marrakesh, which you will remember from our earlier discussion. Now Jupiter, which is the Jiva itself, Jupiter is referred to as Jiva in Jyotish. Jupiter is in the Bhoga Dreshkan in Virgo, which is a earthy sign, and it is in the Gemini or Mithun Navamaush, which is the Vayu Tattva or the airy sign. So here you notice that Jupiter is afflicted or affected by the airy. So the earthy affecting the airy. So here the airy would indicate perhaps the nervous tissue, the neurological system, because that's how the signals travel. And the earthy would indicate the actual structure of the neurons or the substance. So here you see that there is some affliction uh, of Jupiter here, again creating suffering. Uh, Now Mercury is in the Nasha Dreshkan. So Mercury is destructive. Mercury is damaging the nervous system. It is in the airy sign in Gemini in the Dreshkan, again signifying nerve impulses, and again also it is in the airy Navamaush. So this is very classically, you can see the role of Mercury in producing this disease here. And Saturn finally you notice here is in Bhoga Dreshkan, and it is in Aquarius airy sign, and it is finally in the Makar or the Capricorn Navamaush, which is a Dhatu. So Dhatu uh, Nakshatra or Dhatu Rashi, Capricorn. So that also indicates maybe some electrolyte imbalance at the level of the brain, because Dhatu means minerals. So maybe there is some sukshma, subtle electrochemical abnormality in the brain, which is what I think this signifies. So this is a little advanced discussion, and this needs a lot more research actually. With this we go ahead. Now I want to correlate this with the timing. I want to correlate this whole disease with the dashas, and the timing. So I have taken two dashas here. I have taken the Vimshottari and the Yogini. Now, so the left column is at the time of birth, and at the right thing is when the autism was diagnosed. So the birth, if you recollect, was 3rd of December 2012. Now, if you notice the Vimshottari Dasha, firstly Mercury Dasha was going on. Mercury being all what we discussed it, the major malefic in this case. So it is Mercury, Venus, Badhakesh, Sun, Marrakesh. Okay, and again Mercury, Sun. So at the level of the Sukshma Dasha, you have, or the Prana Dasha, you have the uh, Mercury Mahadasha, Venus Antardasha, Sun Pratyantar Dasha or Bhukti, Mercury Sukshma Dasha, and Sun Prana Dasha on the day of his birth. Now, if you look at the Yogini around that time, so the Yogini on that day is what we call Brahmari. So Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, and Rahu was in motion on that day. So or around the time of his birth, on around 3rd of December. So Mars is what is called Bhadrika. Mars is Brahmari, Mercury is Bhadrika, Jupiter is Dhanya, and Rahu is Sankat. So again, Mars actually the Yoga Karak, but it is still malefic. You know, Mercury is already discussed, Jupiter is Jiva and Rahu. So there is the karmic connection of, at the time of his birth, the karmic connection can be seen through the Yogini, okay, more than the Vimshottari. Now let's look at the time when the disease was diagnosed. So the history says that around 2.5 years they found that he was not speaking, he couldn't speak, and he was major delays in speaking. Uh, Therefore, autism was diagnosed, and at 3 years there was some attempt again to speak, some minor improvement, you know, but did not last much. So let's look at these time zones. Now, 2.5 years from his date of birth would be typically, you know, March, April, May type of 2015. So if you look at that period in Vimshottari, the top three rows, you see that Mercury, Sun, Moon. Okay, so uh, Mercury, Sun, Moon. So at the time, so he was trying to express himself. The Moon indicates that he was trying to express. You know, and again you see there is Mercury, Sun, Mars. So in that, maybe in that Mars Bhukti of Vimshottari there was slight improvement or something. Again you see Mercury, Sun, Rahu. It kind of deteriorates. Now if you go towards the end of the year, which will be 3 years, so towards the end of 2015, so the last two rows maybe, or the last three rows, you suddenly see that Mercury, Moon, Moon, which is the second last row in the Vimshottari. Okay, so that is the time when he was trying to express himself, is what I believe. Okay, but then perhaps did not last too long, because after that they came to India. Because the next Bhukti is Mercury, Moon, Mars. Now let's look at the Yogini at the time of the diagnosis. We see that there is Mars, Moon going. Okay, so the Moon Yogini is the Mangala. So Mars is Brahmari Mangala. So that was perhaps he was trying to express himself again, Moon. And then you find that, you know, uh, till August it was Mars, Jupiter. So as per Yogini, suddenly we find that, you know, towards the end of the year, Mercury starts. 28th of December 2015, I think, and that is the time when it became perhaps aggravated or whatever. I mean, so we see overwhelmingly the role of Mercury and also the karmic axis planets as well as Sun and Moon here, not to mention the Jiva. But Jupiter is less conspicuous in the dashas. Jupiter is more like a structural thing in the brain, perhaps. So, with this, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. And my name is Dr. Rahul Kamath, and Arsa Medica is my channel. Please subscribe, like, and share.